Why, hello there. Welcome to my office. I imagine that you're going through a little bit of a heartbreak today. Tragic, I know. That is usually the only reason people come to visit me in my office. Now tell me, can I have your first and last name today, please? Thank you. Date of birth? Okay, excellent. And when exactly, if it's the case, did you and your amour break up or part ways? Okay. So it's a little bit complicated right now. Okay. Is this a sort of official situationship? Are you in a committed relationship that's very much like fixed, but right now going through some difficulties? Is there a lack of or complicated communication right now? Okay. Alright, so break it down for me. What exactly is troubling you? What have you been ruminating on? What don't you feel is present in your current relationship? Okay. Okay. Right. Of course. And do you often tell your friends, especially those that meet him and socialize with him or that you have around him, about your problems in the relationship? Okay. And what are some ways in which you respond to this perceived lapse of his judgment? How do you respond to it? How do you kind of tell him that you're not feeling well about this or that you don't like it? Okay. Do you feel very sensitive right now? Do you feel like you're a little raw, like very vulnerable? Or are you kind of receptive to a bit of constructive feedback? It's going to require just a little push on the ego. So it's going to feel very cognitively dissonant, you could say, for a bit, where you might be challenged as to a couple of your perceived ideas of reality, but this is only to get a better picture of the situation and to potentially guide you in one way or another. Okay. Basically, the question is, do you want me to just listen, or do you want me to give you feedback or ask more probing questions that might be initially unpleasant but can help you greatly going forward? Okay, perfect. I'm going to ask you a series of questions that I want you to be candid with me about. If you don't feel comfortable answering them, then by all means, I respect that. But it might give you a bit of insight as to how the entire relationship is working right now. Now, it could be the case that you might have chosen wrong, and I do use those words intentionally, because at the end of the day, if you were to say that all the blame is on the other person, all of the responsibilities on the other person's such a bad person who's mistreating you, and you begin to victimize yourself, it puts you into this powerless state where you then repeat your actions and it becomes a habit that you feel this way. It's almost like the only way that you can feel something at that point. Meanwhile, when you take responsibility that if this is the case, that you chose the wrong person that doesn't fit you, you then take action. You're able to have that sense of control and competency over your own life and say, hey, this was my choice. I chose this person. This person has proven to me that this is not necessarily someone that's a right fit for me. I'm going to choose someone else who fits me better. It's not their fault. It's still your own responsibility to find that correct match, especially since there's no legal contract such as a marriage involved, let alone no responsibilities such as children to then have to serve a duty towards. Now, with that being said, you're still in the trial period of dating. Do you feel like you've chosen the wrong person? Is there a gut instinct that's telling you that you cannot see a future with this person? Or do you feel like there is this gut instinct that you are meant to be together, but right now your ego is just a little bit wounded? Like you're just having a little bit of a mishmash. It's just kind of like you're not understanding each other's languages right now. When you feel like you're not meant to be with this person, it really feels like your soul could never penetrate the other person's soul, as if you were always running parallel with the other person, as if there was never a moment where you could actually like intertwine each other's like fates. Meanwhile, when you are meant to be with someone, there has been that moment where you are on the same page, you have made each other feel seen, understood, and heard. There is that sort of deep bond that you both have the same perspective and view on life, the same direction, but rather it's just kind of like a momentary lapse that happens between two distinct people that now you can't quite understand each other. Okay, interesting. Well, if that is the case and you want to move forward with this relationship, let's evaluate first and foremost some of the critiques your other amour might have with you. I know that you come presenting the critiques that you have about that person, but oftentimes a relationship is like a mirror. So, although there are cases where you might be involved with someone who is developing unhealthy habits and unhealthy traits, such as, for example, considering how I am a woman, I can understand that there are women who will be very emotionally manipulative to get what they want, in the same way that there are men who can be very sexually manipulative to get what they want. Men and women mirror each other, but they're not the same. So as long as you can understand how they parallel, but they're not functioning in the exact same way, you get a bit of a ease into understanding how a relationship might be falling to the wayside. Now, if your paramour is being more manipulative, if they're starting to show a different character, starting to shift from the person that you once thought they were, big red flag. I would personally say take a step back, because that's someone who's starting to feel comfortable with you. They're starting to show the real person, and their expectations, their true expectations of you are starting to come out. So if it's not something that you think is sustainable, then you're not going to want to spend the rest of your life with that. It's going to get worse. Now, if it's more so a matter of communication breakdown, there hasn't been that much time spent together, you haven't been prioritizing each other, other responsibilities and duties have come into the equation, and you've been prioritizing that instead, this will definitely be a recipe for disaster for any healthy relationship. Is this somewhat kind of more applicable to the situation? Okay. Always keep in mind, everything comes second to the love of your life. Everything. You cannot successfully accomplish a task or successfully meet a goal if you feel like your personal life is falling apart. You have to work with your life partner in every single goal, objective, ambition. And when I say life partner, I don't mean it in the silly way. I mean it as in you really want to think of your spouse, your the love of your life, as being someone who is truly your other half in life. None of this, they're their own person, I'm my own person nonsense. If that was the case, might as well never have dated in the first place. You're joining your lives together. So if that's the case, you need to make sure that they're always put first. In this office, we do not do 50-50. We do 100-100. Each person has to do 100% for the other person, and they are regenerated as the other person is also matching that sentiment. You don't expect them to do it, because then otherwise you're going to start tallying up the favors. But you expect to do everything for them out of love, and then you feel that love in return. If they don't, and they lack, and they start to expect it and feel entitled to it without giving anything in return, then you're dealing with someone that is once again entitled, and they have more of maturity to have to go through before they're able to get into a relationship with you. Now, if you don't mind asking a personal question, I know you said that they don't really feel like they're being so romantic with you anymore, that they're not listening to you anymore, that they tend to be a little colder or drier, that they're not as warm. But how exactly is the love life doing in the bedroom? Okay. I know that life can sometimes get very tiring and packed and whatnot, but we have to keep in mind that men treat sex like a love language. If they don't receive it, they're going to feel very emotionally neglected. For them, it's a biological need, much like defecating. It's like they have to do it. So, if you neglect them in that department, emotionally, they're going to grow colder and they're going to get frustrated, and that need is going to have to be satisfied in a more dilapidated way that is going to start creating problems. The more you satisfy that need, the more you're able to say, I know I feel cold or I know I feel tired, but I'm able to put myself out there and still satisfy it for that person. The more he'll do the same in return for you. The more he'll say, I might be tired, but I'm going to go get her roses. I might be tired, but I'm going to go get her a box of chocolate. Because you're reciprocating that same sense of, I know I'm tired, but I'm going to put aside my short-term needs that can be overlooked for just a moment, so that way I can make sure that the person I love is happy and knows that I care about them. Women oftentimes feel loved when their men hear them and when their men are attentive to them. Men feel loved when a certain process is performed. So keep that in mind. And also keep in mind that if they're feeling overwhelmed or stressed, and that usually is evident with just them either remaining silent or kind of getting a little short, silence is much preferred. It is best to wait to say what you need to say at a better time than to flood them with information, thus overwhelming them, thus putting a weight on their nervous system that then will flow back into your nervous system, and it'll create an unnecessary situation. Wait for the perfect time. They'll understand and see that effort, and then they'll appreciate it, most likely apologize for having had you wait, and then just kind of go into autopilot as they listen to you. Okay? I want you to try those 3 remedies in your relationship. These rules only apply to someone who is genuinely committed to you, who is genuinely wanting to work things out with you, that does not gray rock you, that does not stonewall you, that does not manipulate you, that does not make you feel like you're at the bumper seat or the back seat completely. Someone who is genuinely trying to work things out with you, but is just frustrated as to why it is that you're not on the same page. Men and women are not in the same book, but once you understand their natures, you can kind of more easily satisfy the other one, and a relationship can then be woven more intuitively and successfully. Okay? Perfect. Keep those points in mind, and once again, if truly it is crunch time where it is someone who is just taking you for granted, verbally abusing you, let alone physically, big red flag, cut it off as quickly as possible, find a way out. You don't want to deal with that. It is not relationship material. But naturally, aside from that, certain miscommunications can happen in a relationship, and it is best to meet each other's needs and desires without letting society tell you that the other person doesn't deserve X, Y, or Z, or to put yourself first when in a relationship it's all about self-sacrifice. Okay? Excellent. Well, in that case, if you continue to have issues, please come back to my office, unload them, we'll assess them, and see where exactly we can take control again. Never victimize yourself. Very easy for women to victimize themselves. Take control, take ownership, and you're more likely to see how things can be improved. Okay? Excellent. Well, in that case, take care. I hope everything gets better. And if not, once again, reach out. Bye-bye.